You know, we live in a world that's constantly telling us to be more, to get more, to increase. But what if the real secret to a deeper kind of happiness lies in doing the exact opposite? Today, we're going to dive into a powerful, pretty counterintuitive idea about success and joy that might just change the way you look at things. Here it is. He must increase, I must decrease. Now, my first reaction to hearing that, it sounds like a recipe for disappearing, for making yourself small. But what if it's not about self-erasure at all? What if, and this is the paradox, it's actually the key to unlocking a kind of joy that our culture barely even talks about? That's the mystery we're going to unpack together.
So let's get real. What does this actually look like day to day? To willingly step back from the spotlight so that your team or your family or a cause you believe in can shine even brighter? This isn't just some abstract theory. It's about finding a joy that goes way deeper than just personal praise.
To really get our heads around this, we need a solid example. And there's a powerful one from an ancient story about a guy named John the Baptist, but I want you to think of it less as a religious text and more like a fascinating case study in human psychology, a lesson on finding genuine satisfaction in someone else's success. Okay, just look at this contrast. It's amazing. On one side, you've got John's followers. They see his popularity shrinking, and they start to panic. For them, it's a competition, a zero-sum game. But then you have John, looking at the exact same situation, and he is filled with joy. How is that even possible? Well, it's because he understood his role was never to be the main event. And this is the whole key right here. John's purpose wasn't to be the bridegroom. It was to be the friend of the bridegroom. His sense of fulfillment, his entire identity, was made complete by playing his specific part perfectly. And that part was to point to something greater than himself and then gracefully get out of the way. Now, that is a powerful ideal, but let's be honest, it is incredibly hard to live out. And why is that? It's because we all fall into the same trap, the poison of comparison. This is where this big idea gets tested in the nitty-gritty of our own lives. So let's just pause here for what the source material calls a deep interior check. Seriously, just for a second, be totally honest with yourself. Where does that little sting of comparison or jealousy show up for you? That feeling of being overshadowed or left behind? I mean, it could be anywhere, right? At work, when a colleague gets that promotion you were hoping for, inside our own families, watching a sibling succeed, even in our communities or volunteer groups, where we can start sizing up our contributions against everyone else's. If you feel this, you are definitely not alone. It's a deeply human thing. So why is this feeling so common? Well, the source argues that our constant comparing isn't actually the root problem, it's just a symptom of something way deeper. It kind of forces us to ask a really tough question. What have we actually put at the center of our lives? The source has a name for this: subtle idolatry. Now, that might sound like a big, heavy term, but the psychological meaning behind it is actually pretty simple and powerful. It's when we take something good, like our job or our comfort or even our political ideas, and we elevate it to the level of an absolute. It becomes the one thing that defines our ultimate worth. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Our work, our own comfort, our political tribe, these are all good things, but they can quietly sneak onto the throne at the center of our life. And when that happens, any threat to them feels like a personal threat to us. And that is the perfect breeding ground for jealousy and fear. Okay. So we've diagnosed the problem. But now what? What's the solution? Well, the good news is there is a practical and frankly, a pretty liberating path forward. It's not about crushing yourself. It's about quieting the ego's constant need for attention. Here are two really simple, actionable practices. First, actively, deliberately give thanks for the talents and the wins of other people. So instead of seeing a colleague's brilliant idea as a threat, see it as a gift to the whole team. And second, consciously look for ways to serve and to help without needing any of the credit for it. And the goal of these practices is pretty simple. It's to put that core idea into action, to decrease the ego's constant demand for the spotlight so that a greater purpose, whether that's the success of your company, the health of your family, or a higher calling, can increase and shine through everything you do. And that brings us right back to where we started. But now it makes so much more sense. This idea just captures the whole shift in perspective. Maybe the deepest, most lasting joy isn't found in being the star of the show. Maybe it's found in being that essential friend who helps make the whole celebration happen, knowing you played your part perfectly.
So I'll leave you with this question to take with you. In your own life, in your work, in your relationships, what's one thing, maybe one comparison or one need to get the credit that needs to decrease so that a real, authentic joy has the space to increase?